Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
FightSaga.com presents WAWR Week Radio Chats with boxing scribe Joseph Heron.
Guys, welcome. Happy Monday. Hope you guys had a great start to the beginning of your work week. Well, I'm freezing down here in San Antonio, Texas. It is 32 degrees right now. Guys, it is an absolute pleasure and an honor to be able to share the air tonight with you guys, as well as my brother, G Funky Boxing. G, how you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. I'm happy to be here. It's my first time here, and thank you for having me.
Well, I tell you what, brother, I just had to return the favor. You were kind enough to let me grace your airwaves last week. And yeah, I was a little bit inebriated. So, so now I'm of much more sound mind and body. So I tell you what. So we're going to have a very fun evening. We're going to talk about everything boxing, all of the current events floating around the boxing community at this time. And we're also going to play the very first edition of Fact or Fiction with G Funky Boxing. How do you like that, guys?
I can't wait.
Well, we're going to cover everything, my friend. Everything that has been circulating on the boxing Twitterverse, as well as Facebook, as well as Instagram. How do you like that? No, we're not going to talk about Blair Cobbs eating crow and having to appease that cease and desist. No, we're not going to touch that because that's small potatoes. Are you ready? We're going to dive right in. And once again, guys, I played that intro music just to appease all of the fans that are accusing me of being a Terence Crawford hater. Well, guys, you can't do that. Look, if you don't like something that I say, right, and if it gets in your feels, right, don't kill the messenger. I'm a journalist, right, as well as being a ring announcer, commentator, a guy who works with a lot of fighters and promoters, right? Don't kill the messenger. If you don't like what I'm saying, it doesn't make it less true, okay? So, hey, man, that's not my problem. So anyway, here we go. Are you ready? Starting with number one, my friend.
Let's do it.
Number one, fact or fiction, G. PBC will begin working with DAZN by the end of 2023. Fact or fiction?
Oh, man. Right out the gate.
Right out of the gate, brother.
I'm going to say... I'm going to say fact. I think that they do want to do some work with them.
Well, is it going to be out of necessity, or is it going to be because they're really anxious to do work with the brass at DAZN?
Oh, man. Well, I mean,
yeah.
I would say, oh, man, that's a good question. I would say probably not out of necessity, but I think there are some big fights to be made for some PBC stars and DAZN stars. So, yeah, I anticipate them doing some sort of cross promotion by the end of the year.
Well, look, guys, this is gonna and bruises along the way, right? But there has to be a platform that chooses to work with every promoter and every fighter, every manager within the business of boxing, just like HBO and just like Showtime, before signing an exclusive deal with PBC, right? That's what HBO did. That's what made HBO the biggest mainstream platform in boxing back when Lou DiBella was the president of HBO Sports. You remember the good old days back then, brother?
Oh, I not only do I remember them, but I miss them dearly. I mean, HBO boxing. At the time it went away. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little annoyed with some of the narratives that they were doing, but now that they're gone, it's like, wow, I really miss them.
Yeah. Look, man, what made Lou DiBella the most powerful man in boxing at one time, when he was the man at HBO Boxing, right, was because he knew he had the TV dates. He knew the most subscribers. That means he could hold every promoter's feet to the fire and say, look, if you want to be showcasing your prospects on my channel, and if you want to build them as big-time boxing attractions, well, then you're going to have to work with this promoter and give me this fight.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who forced Bob Arum to ultimately work with Don King, even though they couldn't stand each other, and said, look, if you want more TV dates, you're going to have to give me Oscar De La Hoya and Felix Trinidad. Take it or leave it. Guess what? They did it. And the fans were the beneficiaries. Now, let me ask you, G, what network executive at this time is doing that current practice?
Oh, wow.
Well,
I mean,
that was a rhetorical question, my friend.
yeah. I don't think there's anyone. I mean, we have had some promoters work with each other, but I mean, not nearly enough,
Well, look, it's been their decision, right? The problem with the network executives, including the current brass at DAZN, they entrust guys like Matchroom, guys like Goldie, guys like Bob Arum, guys like Al Heyman, and they say, here's your annual budget. Give me the best fights you can. And basically what it's resorted to, we have farm systems on the very fractured existence that boxing's become. So you have, for the longest time, you had PBC basically just choosing to not work with anyone, at least minimally, right? And they've been giving you farm system fights, right? Reaching maybe over the lines and maybe throwing you a bone as a fan every once in a while. Same with Top Rank, right? At ESPN, you've got a farm system just trying to nurture their prospects, seeing how many stars come out of that. Same with DAZN, Matchroom Sport, right? Golden Boy, right? This is what we've seen. This is why this is why promoters, right, started using a different philosophy to make the biggest fights happen. Well, we're going to have to monopolize a specific weight division so we can keep everything in-house and put on the best fights possible. And you saw that with Heyman at 47 and 50. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You've seen that in large part with Top Rank at 26 and 35.
Yeah.
Right? Now, look at the middleweight division as a result. That is completely fractured, with one champion being over here and another champion being over on another network. How many big fights have come out of 160 over the last 2 years?
Oh, man.
No. Let me rephrase this now. Since HBO shut down and completely walked away from the business of boxing, since Canelo Golovkin, how many big fights has 160 yielded?
None.
Yep. That's why, and once again, this is what we're seeing right now, guys. So the reason why we're bringing this up, guys, because it was just announced from President and CEO of Showtime and Paramount Media Networks, Chris McCarthy, right? It was just put out. And once again, I'm reading from Variety magazine, right? He says this. Now, once again, you can already enjoy Showtime programming and Paramount Plus as a bundle. They already sell this. And guys, if you've been listening to this show for over a year, we told you this was coming. We told you that this was coming over a year ago. We said, brace yourself. Showtime Championship Boxing may become integrated with Paramount Plus. Well, guess what, guys? It's here. Right? And this is what he stated today. As a part of Paramount Plus, now I'm quoting Chris McCarthy, right? President and CEO of Showtime Paramount Media. He said that's, quote, as a part of Paramount Plus, we can put more resources into building out the lanes that have made the Showtime brand famous, as well as turning our hit shows into global hit franchises. To do this, we will divert investment away from areas that are underperforming and that account for less than 10% of our views. We have already begun conversations with our production partners about what content makes sense moving forward and which shows have franchise potential, end quote. Guys, do you remember my prediction back in 2015 saying that, guys, my prediction in 3 years is HBO is going to back out of boxing, of the business of boxing, for this reason specifically? Because programming, their original programming, HBO, like Game of Thrones, Curb Your Enthusiasm, was knocking boxing's dick in the dirt. Big programming wasn't even getting 1 million viewers during the live broadcast, right? And when you have idiots like Bill Maher crushing boxing late night or last night or whatever with John Oliver, crushing boxing, I said, guys, they're going to back out of this, especially with Ken Hirschman walking away and Peter Nelson taking over, right? I said, guys, this is it. The days are numbered at HBO. And guys, I told you guys this last year that there was a very good possibility that Showtime Championship Boxing was going to cease to exist, and boxing programming on Showtime Paramount was going to become minimal at best. Well, here we are. Now I'm going to read this once again to you, G, and I want you to get your thoughts on this. Here's the big part that everyone should be alarmed with, right? To do this, quote, this is once again Chris McCarthy, of CEO of Showtime and Paramount Media. To do this, we will divert investment away from areas that are underperforming and that account for less than 10% of our views, end quote.
Yeah, that sounds like Showtime Championship Boxing, like the writing's on the wall, like you said, you know. And yeah, unfortunately, we're here at that time. And you know, the thing is this, man, a lot of people are really down on Showtime and PBC and what they've been doing the last couple of years. But this is not good for boxing, you know. If you're a boxing fan, you don't want to see this, you know.
Exactly. G Funky, now you are the voice of reason, my friend. You're an objective analyst. And this is why it's such a an honor to be able to share the air with you this evening, right? You view the sport objectively, and your first M of O, so to speak, is the health of the sport. Everything else is a distant second, correct?
That is 100% correct.
Okay. So, guys, we are urging you, if you care about these TV dates, if you care about all of these fighters who are going to be searching for TV dates, unless something dramatically changes, subscribe to Showtime Paramount Plus so they can track your viewership. Promote it. Be the ambassadors that you guys already think you are. Quit shitting on the product and start telling your friends about it. Right? And let me, first of all, before we move forward, right, I want to give a shout out to some of our dear friends in the chat, right?
Yes, sir.
Give a shout out to Jesus M. Saludos to you, my friend. Also, my brother Gus, long time no see, my friend. He's down in Austin, Texas, dealing with the same weather, Joseph. Boy, it sucks, doesn't it? I tell you what, because it was warm yesterday and it's freezing. Boy, you got to love South Texas that way in winter, huh? Also want to give a shout out to my brother, the Boxing Ropes. Salutes, man. Canelo was still the face in boxing. Yes, he is, and something tells me he's going to come up in fact or fiction a little bit later, brother.
And not only is he the face of boxing, but in my opinion, he's the face of combat sports right now. In my opinion.
Yes, sir. And that's a very good point. And we're going to talk all about that. So, look, yeah, all I can say is here's a preview. The sport is much healthier with Canelo as an active participant. You may not like who he fights next, but damn it, we need him. We need the biggest mainstream draw and attraction in North America to stay busy. Out of sight, out of mind, guys. Right? And welcome, my brother, Hard Times, once again. Long time no see, brother. And he says, yes, you said it could happen. Damn it. And once again, guys, you may not like what I say, and I'm often accused of being the bearer of bad news, but that doesn't make it less likely to happen or less true. Right? That's it. Want to give a shout out to my brother Outlaw. They're nothing but mid-level boxing on Showtime, and all the big fights are on pay-per-view. Ding, ding, ding. Big winner. Chicken dinner. That's it, guys. That's it. And I'll explain exactly why this is happening. Right? And brother, Hard Times, thank you. I already have Showtime and Paramount Plus and ESPN and DAZN. You, sir, are an excellent fan of boxing. I just wish most diehards shared your enthusiasm and sentiment. Right?
Right.
And I want to give a shout out to my brother, Big Luke from New York City or New York State. Fellas, where's Busted J been? God bless you, brother. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Gee. Now, obviously, you can see why Al Heyman has been so busy to make possibly can within the first 2 quarters of 2023. Tank Ryan, Plant Benavides, Inoue Fulton, Wilder Ruiz, Spence Thurman, Zoo Harrison, right?
Yep.
You can see now why. And then that's not including even the announced, and we knew this was going down, right, for March 4th. Brandon Figueroa versus Mark Magsayo, right, for the interim WBC 126-pound title.
Great
right?
fight.
It's happening March 4th. That's a great matchup. And something tells me that's going to come up in fact or fiction as well. We're also seeing for the vacant IBF 140-pound title, Zubrio Matias versus Ermias Ponce on March 25th. Or, I'm sorry, February 25th. My apologies. That's a great fight. And once again, you look at the calendar. Matchroom hasn't even announced their calendar yet for the spring. And boy, all you're seeing is all these dates with Showtime and PBC as well as Fox. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. And I want to address Outlaw in the chat where he's saying, does that have a problem with mid-level as long as they're 50-50 fights, but you got to give me one big fight once in a while? No, I agree. And you know, I mean, I have a great time watching the shows like Showbox. Like they just had a really good card where Coach Ronnie was a regular here.
Yes.
I mean, those were good matchups there, you know, especially in the main event, and it was an all-action fight. So yeah, you know, that's the hard part, man, is getting the casuals to watch those kind of cards, you know. And you know, I've been trying to do my part, man, but need a lot more help, that's for sure.
That's right, guys. If you pride yourselves in being the ultimate ambassadors of our fringe pastime, quit shitting on it. Start telling your neighbors and friends to tune in. They don't know what they're missing. If you truly care about this sport, do your part, because boxing is depending on you. That's it, right? Once again,
oh, Joe, you there? I think you might have cut off, brother. Well, it looks like he's
out a
having
little
some,
bit. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. We got you back now.
Very good. My apologies, guys. It's this, for some reason, every time it's overcast like this, my internet goes in and out. My apologies, guys. Let's hope I don't have to bust out my hotspot, right? Jeez,
Yes,
but guys, and once again, there's a reason now. And promoters really screwed the fans. And it dates way back in the 80s and 90s. Back when boxing was still a mainstream commodity on the three big channels, CBS, NBC, and ABC. Boxing was a regular mainstream free commodity, just like the NFL, just like the NBA, got plenty of sponsorship. But they got too greedy, thinking of how much money can they make right now rather than thinking of the health of the sport. Now, G-Funky, let me ask you this. What would happen to the NFL if they decided to attach the playoffs and the Super Bowl behind a pay-per-view paywall? What would happen ultimately?
The audience will drop dramatically. I've asked this question to a lot of my friends who are casual to boxing, but are diehards when it comes to the NFL. I asked them specifically just about the Super Bowl. I said, guys, the Super Bowl is a big event. Over hundreds of millions of people watch it every year.
Yep.
Would you pay for it if they said we're going to put this thing on pay-per-view now? And they said only if my team is in it. So yeah, it would definitely hurt the sport.
That's it. And so now, because it's become such a fringe commodity, they can't get sponsorship. PBC found this out the hard way in 2015, 2016, when they started up PBC. Oh, we're going to put everything on free TV. They did these absurd, very expensive time buys without the infrastructure in place to try and get mainstream sponsorship. And guess what? They lost hundreds of millions very, very quickly. Found out the hard way that, holy shit, boxing has become such a fringe pastime in America that we can't even attract big sponsorship dollars.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And this was after decades of putting boxing's best product behind a pay-per-view paywall. So, guys, if you want to point the finger at who's to blame, it's the promoters from the 80s and 90s that screwed the sport, taking as much money as they possibly could, not thinking of the health of the product, decades for future generations. And also taking the product away from mainstream venues, depending on the big casino site fees, taking it away from mainstream America. So it was a product of those two things happening. And guess what? They really. And why do you think, and once again, fans, writers who don't know dick about the sport, right? The business of boxing, kept on asking this question. G-Funky, why do they insist on asking fighters, demanding fighters that they need to take less? Because their purses, their expensive purse demands do not justify the low ratings.
Yeah.
You with the low ratings, you cannot justify these steep purse demands. And what are the fighters' responses? That's not our problem. When is it going to be your problem? When you can't fight?
Right.
When you're relegated to fight on regional and local fight cards? Off TV? Making only $1,000 a round? Is that when it's going to become your problem?
Yeah. That's the big problem. Like a lot of people have said that money is the problem and the solution when it comes to boxing, and that's one example of it right there, and to PBC, I'll say this, when they first started with the whole putting fights on network television, like I was okay with it for a few reasons. One, because my grandfather, who's the one who got me into this sport, once everything on TV went digital and stuff like that, it was easy for him to put on, the network television channels and watch boxing. He didn't have to buy extra stuff like Showtime or HBO to watch it. So that was one thing for me. And also because I feel like it was helping the sport grow a little bit. Like those casuals that I mentioned earlier, because they were advertising fights like I believe it was Broner versus Molina and Guerrero versus Thurman on one of those first cards that they did on NBC. You know, they watch football and then the commercial would play and then they'd be like, oh yeah, we'll watch a fight. And then like, you know, months later they'd be talking to me because they know I'm the hardcore and they'd be asking me about guys like Danny Garcia, Adrian Broner, Abner Mates, like all these guys. So it was working for a little bit, you know?
Well, here's the problem. How many commercials did you actually see during these broadcasts?
Not too many. Not too many.
Exactly. That's where the problem lied. Everyone loved the idea of free TV on CBS again, on NBC, on Fox. Everyone loved it. But you can't sustain that kind of product without mainstream sponsorship. That's why Fox has no problem opening up the checkbook and spending over $2 billion for the licensing fee to show NFC, NFL exclusively on their network.
Yep.
And now when Al Heyman asks, hey, we've got this great fight coming down the pipe, it's going to be Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder. They're going to be like, well, we're going to have to stick it behind a pay-per-view paywall because you can't justify paying for that multi-million-dollar purse because we can't get enough sponsorship to support it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we are now, guys.
Yeah, and I remember seeing...
I'm sorry, go ahead, G.
I was going to say, I remember for the Wilder-Fury rematch, because it was on a Fox pay-per-view, I believe, during a football game. I remember watching football with my friends, and they had those two guys, I think, in the studio doing something together to promote the fight. And, you know, they're pumped up like, yeah, man, this is going to be good. You know, the heavyweights, I love the heavyweights. There's knockouts. And then once the promo was over, then they said, yeah, watch Fury Wilder on pay-per-view. And everybody's like, ah, shit.
Ah, jeez.
You know, So then they look at me and they're like, well, we watching it at your place or what?
Yep, brother. That's it, man. That's it. So now, guys, I'm going to get off my soapbox and we're going to start having fun, right? I had to get that out of the way. Now it's going to become a much more lighthearted program, right? So for that, I'm going to toast to Showtime Championship Boxing. Here's to the memories, all right? My first shot of the evening, I told you I was going to stay of sound mind and body. Now I'm going to start getting a little more jovial, and I'm going to start shooting down some sweet amber. How do you like that, brother?
Oh, that sounds great, man.
So here's to you, brother.
If I wasn't so tired, I'd be joining you too, man.
Oh, my friend, I tell you what, thank you for sharing the air with me tonight. And thank you, all of you guys, for joining us in this evening. Now we're going to start having fun. Here's to you, G Funky. And here's to the boxing powers that be, the real men of genius. Thanks for screwing us for decades, my friend. Here's to you guys. Down the hatch.
There we go.
Number 2, are you ready, G Funky?
Ready.
Well, wait a minute. I'm looking at all these, and these aren't very positive either. Shit. Here's number 2, G Funky, Fact or Fiction. The highly anticipated Haney versus Loma super fight at 130 pounds will be scrapped, and Devin will move up to 140 pounds. Fact or fiction?
God, I hope fiction. I hope to God that's fiction because that's a fight that really needs to happen. For the last 2 years, since StreamYard has become a thing, a lot of people have been doing these hangouts, these live streams where a bunch of randoms come on and talk, and that's been one of the hottest debated topics is, Loma versus Haney. Did Loma duck him and blah, blah, blah. Like, no, that fight needs to happen, man. That fight needs to fucking happen to end all this crap. So, look, I understand Devin is he's struggling to make weight. We can all see that. I mean, he looked like Michael Jackson from Thriller on the scale against George Kambosos in the rematch. And not the healthy Jackson, the one where he turned into a zombie. All right, that's what he looked like. So I need you to squeeze down one more time, Devin. All right.
Dun, dun. Dun, dun. Oh, dude, yes, that is a perfect description, brother, and that's exactly how we looked down under, didn't it?
Oh,
when he wasn't able to have the weigh-in at 9 a.m. the morning, he actually had to do the weigh-in that afternoon, right? Mm-hmm. So here, guys, and once again, anyone who's been listening to the show for a while, when this fight was proposed, I told you guys that this was a possibility, and that Haney, not understanding the way market value is determined, was going to demand too much, right? Not only was he going to demand more than $5 million to take this fight on, because once again, he's got to kill him to make this weight, and it's Vasyl Lomachenko, first ballot future Hall of Famer, right? Mm-hmm. Arguably the toughest fight of his career.
I would say it is, yeah.
Now, even past his prime, Vasyl Lomachenko is, without a doubt, going to be his toughest fight of his young, budding career. Now, here's where the breakdown is, right? In his mind and his dad's, they believe, hey, you know what? Lomachenko needs us. We've got all the belts. We're the man. We're going to call the shots. You know what? Gee, does Lomachenko realistically need Devin Haney to define his legacy?
I would say no, not in that sense. But if he wants to be undisputed, then absolutely he does. And, you know, if he was to just move up and drop all those belts, then, yeah, it'd be kind of hard for him to become undisputed. He said that quite often, that was his goal. I believe it was right around the time he beat Pedraza, I think, to pick up another belt at lightweight. He was saying, you know, I want all the belts. He ended up fighting Luke Campbell for the WBC. Then his next fight was against Teofimo Lopez.
Jorge Linares, you forgot about that one.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry about that. Yes.
And remember, he had 3 of the titles. Yep. Mm-hmm. He was trying to collect all 4 with the IBF, Teofimo Lopez. Yep. You're absolutely right. But once again, this is a 3-division champion, an all-time great fighter, first ballot Hall of Famer. If Haney tries to squeeze too hard, what's going to happen?
That's a real possibility that he could just say, well, I'm out. You know, it's too much of a hassle for me to make this weight. And we know that quite a few of these guys are struggling to make weight now. Stevenson, who's a new to lightweight, he had to give up his belts on the scale because he couldn't make 130 anymore. So, you know, these young guys are busting out at the seams. Like Teofimo is not at lightweight no more. So yeah, it's a real possibility.
So in my opinion, someone needs to talk some sense into the man at 135 pounds and say, you know what, brother? Just because you fought in front of a huge crowd in Australia, they weren't there for you, brother. Mm-hmm. You weren't the ticket seller that night. You weren't the big time attraction. The only reason why you made that much money because the fight was in Australia against Kambosos. You put that fight in America, dude, you can't even fill up the Hulu at Madison Square Garden. Brother, need I remind you, you didn't even sell but maybe 4,000 tickets with Jojo Diaz in your hometown. And now you think you can demand $5 million and you want more concessions from Vasyl Lomachenko?
Yeah, not good.
Brother, you are on the verge of spoiling this premium showdown. It's bad enough that you've driven up the price that ESPN is forced to attach the pay-per-view revenue stream to it. But now you're on the verge of losing the best opponent available at this time. Okay?
Yep.
You know what, dude? Hell, dude, I am the bearer of bad news tonight, aren't I? Shit. I'm sorry, guys.
That's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate that it could possibly be on pay-per-view because over the last few years, Top Rank has really been, putting on good matchups and for free on free TV or ESPN Plus, which is, it's now $10 now. But yeah, that would be unfortunate, man. But
Well,
yeah,
let me just
Haney
tell
needs
you,
it more.
if the fight does happen, if the fight does happen, it's going to be on pay-per-view. It's already been determined.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a question. It's a question. Right now, the question is, can we get this fight over the finish line? Can we actually get a deal that both fighters are happy with? And right now, it's teetering. That's why I'm like, you know what? Someone needs to talk some sense into Devin Haney. Brother, quit trying to squeeze Vasil to make further concessions. You've already got the lion's share. We're already giving you the money you want. Don't make any further concessions. Sign on the dotted line. Take this deal. Because you are not the mainstream attraction that you think you are.
Very true, man. And people aren't going to like it, but it is what it is, man. He's not the ticket seller that he thinks he is. And Outlaw made another great point in the chat where he said Eddie overpaid Haney and has nothing to show for it. Yeah, he was bragging about how much money he was making over there on DAZN. And, I don't know what they really benefited from that. I don't know if it was they were paying on potential or what, but it didn't seem to work out, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, you know what? Once again, they made the right decision to sign with Top Rank to a more mainstream platform and where all the viable opponents were, right? Don't screw this up, Devin. Do not screw this up, Bill. Come on. The fans deserve it, damn it. Okay, so once again, I told you guys we were going to start having fun. It starts now. Jeez. Crime in Italy. I'm sorry, G. Want to give a shout out to my brother, SSP Diving. Thank you for visiting us again. And once again, if you haven't already ascertained, brother, this channel is primarily in existence to educate the fans on the business of boxing, to have a greater understanding why some of these decisions are made or aren't made, right? And that's it. So let's move on to something a little more fun, right? Here it is. First of all, and we're going to go into your thoughts on this fight action. Brilliant fight of the year candidate at 175 pounds, and it has to do with this next Factor Fiction, right? Number 3, G Funky. Factor Fiction, Dmitry Bivol will not take on Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds and will elect to unify the light heavyweight division with Artur Beterbiev in the final quarter of 2023 instead. Fact or fiction?
Oh, that's a tough one. God, I want to say fact because that's the only fight that really matters at 175 right now. You know, I think if
let's do this. What do you hope that is going to happen, and what do you think is going to happen, my friend?
I hope it happens, but I think we'll probably get it early 2024, in my opinion.
Well, you know what? Right now, I'll just be happy if it happens at all. But let's get back to that. Let's revisit this conversation. Tell me what you thought of Artur Beterbiev stopping a very game Anthony Yard in 8 rounds.
That was a fantastic fight, man. I really enjoyed it. And I wish that, it would have been on a better time slot for more fans here to watch. It comes on at a weird time when they're over there in the UK, but it was a fantastic fight, man. I anticipated Beterbiev to win the fight, and I did also anticipate Yard giving him some trouble early because he's a very gifted athlete and very fast hands. But Beterbiev, to me, he's a guy that has very underrated skills, boxing skills, that is. and he doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion. But I think he really showed the fans in this fight that he is a really good boxer, and we all know he's got the power. We all know he's a tough guy. But I think that he really showed it here. You know, Yard brought out some different things in him in this fight, and it really makes that fight with Bivol a lot more, I guess, seasoned than what it already is. But that's really the only fight to be made at light heavyweight. It has to happen.
Yes, very well said, G Funky. Very well said, brother. And you know what? I think most sane fans would agree with you, brother. Now, you know what? Maybe that was a poor choice of words, because how many boxing fans do you know that are truly sane?
Oh, I'm sorry. Say that again. I'm sorry.
I said maybe that was a poor choice of words. Every sane fan agrees with you, because how many boxing fans do you know of that are truly sane?
Oh, not many.
Yeah. Hey, guilty as charged here, brother. Let me tell you, that's why I'm a ring announcer commentator. That's why I choose to work in this messed up business, right? But, you know, damn it. And you know, the great Don Chargan once told me this. He said, look, I don't know what you're thinking getting in this business, because once you get bitten by the boxing bug, boy, you're in it for life. And damn it, I feel like Al Pacino in The Godfather 3. As soon as I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Brother, I tried to walk away 5 years ago and pursue music, and guess what? Guess where I'm at now? Yep.
Got you back.
Yep. Got to learn to love it, man. But you know what, guys? I'll have to say, I love the fans. I love the fighters. I love everyone I've met in this business, including Emmanuel Stewart, getting to work with him for several years, getting to know and getting to work with Don Chargan, getting to know Ronnie, James Gogi, Abel Sanchez, Joe Goosen, just all of the great people that I've met in this business. And you know what? I wouldn't trade it for anything. I absolutely love this business. And you know what? Just got to personally get to know you, G Funky. And you know what? It's been an honor, brother. So thank you. Thank you, boxing. I've got boxing to thank for that.
It's cool, man. And we had a great time over on my channel last week. Talked boxing, talked a little bit of music. So yeah, it was fun.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. So let us carry on. And first of all, before I before we move forward, let's give a big shout out to my brother Peter Von Arx, a great guitar player also.
Yes,
he says, salute, Joseph and G Funky. Salute to you, my friend. Thank you for always supporting War We Created and for being here tonight. I also want to give a big shout out to my brother Izzy Beterbiev. I'm late, but I'm here. Good evening to all. Respect to Mr. Heron and G Funky Boxing. Respect to you, my friend. Thank you for always being here, my brother. But now going back, right? Here's the big question, G. Let's say in a perfect world that Dmitry Bivol says, you know what? I don't want to go back to 168. I'm a 175-pounder, and I want to unify the weight class with Artur Beterbiev, my countryman. I don't care where it is. This is the fight that I want. Eddie Hearn, get it for me. That was a terrible Russian accent, by the way, and I'm sorry about that. But say it happens in a perfect world this summer. Who do you like? Who wins and why, G?
Oh, man. This is really one of the best fights that could be made in boxing. Both of those guys, Bivol, Beterbiev, both guys are pound for pound fighters in the world of boxing right now. So it's a true 50-50 fight. Great contrast of styles. You got, you know, the guy who likes to box in Bivol, and the guy who, like I said, has very underrated boxing skills, but he's a Terminator. You know, he comes to get you, and that's Beterbiev. It's a great style matchup. I would say right now I'm favoring Beterbiev about 5%. You know, that's it. It's that close of a fight, in my opinion, you know.
Woo! You know what, brother? Everyone views this as a 50-50 fight, or right around there, 55-45, either way. In my opinion, both of these guys, You could actually take either one of these guys and plop them in any era at 175. And keep in mind, this is one of boxing's original weight divisions. You could plop them in any era and they would be competitive, if not very successful.
Yep.
This is a great fight, guys. Can you imagine, G, if both of these guys were American?
Oh, wow. Yeah. It'd be a big fight. It would be a really big fight.
Oh, boy. Unfortunately, they couldn't sell at my living room individually on a Saturday night. But that's good for the fans. That means it's a much easier fight to make.
It should
You don't
be.
have these. You don't even have. You're not going to see any of the absurd demands like we are from some fighters, Devin Haney. You're not going to see any of that when it comes down to negotiate. This is going to be a very easy fight to make, but do the promoters want it? Does Eddie Hearn want this? Is Canelo going to stand in the way of undisputed unification at 175?
God, I hope not. I've heard Bivol express he doesn't want that fight again. He wants to go after the belts, and I respect that. And look, I also respect Canelo's competitive nature to try to get back in there with Bivol and try to win that fight, but he's not going to beat him, man. I'm sorry. It's a tough matchup for him, tough matchup. And I just don't see him winning that fight. Even if it's at 168, I don't see him winning.
Look, G-Funky, in the immortal words of Takashi from Revenge of the Nerds, I drink to that. Here it goes. Down the hatch. Sweet Amber, guys. Love
Yes,
all
sir.
of you in the chat. G-Funky, you're my brother, man. Here's to you, my friend.
I appreciate that, man.
Woo! And oh, Hard Times is laying into me. That accent was a combination of Boris from Rocky and Bullwinkle and Dolph Lundgren in Rocky 4. Ouch! I was leaning more towards Vladimir Klitschko because I spent enough time with Emmanuel that, I got to hear enough of that. Look at you, you flabby American body. You need to be more Ukrainian like Vladimir Klitschko. Yeah, that's a terrible accent. I won't do it again. Forgive me for butchering the Russian or Ukrainian accent. My apologies, guys. My brother Peter Von Arts has the beat, hopefully. Bivol and Beterbiev don't care. They're interested in belts.
Yeah.
Let's hope you're right, my friend. And you know what? This is a blessing in disguise. We said, what if they're American? All I can say is right now, thank God they're not American. They're interested in the belts, not getting that bag. Yep. So here we go, brother. Next one, number 4. Oh, boy. I want to get your insight on this, brother. And be as honest as you possibly can. I don't know if I can even finish this with a straight face. Fact or fiction, G? Terence Crawford will not sign a multi-fight deal with Golden Boy Promotions and will remain a free agent throughout 2023. Fact or fiction?
I'm going to say fiction.
Let's hope so. Let's hope you're right. And once again, guys, I've been very consistent on this channel. I told you guys before negotiations started with Spence Crawford, right, that this was going to be a real problem because he did not have quality and competent representation throughout this process. Now, you guys, even though Al Heyman knew when it initially started, when Crawford made that absurd purse demand at $22 million, and yes, that was told to me by Steven Espinosa on Showtime, right? I can let the cat out of the bag now because we're way past that process, right? But that's the reality, guys. And I told you back then, I'm like, oh boy. He's not willing to give Al Heyman options on his next several fights. He's not a huge ticket seller, never been a pay-per-view draw, and he's demanding that much money, and he still wants to be a free agent. Boy, unless you put up Canelo numbers, best of luck with that. But now you understand why Al Heyman and Steven Espinosa really wanted to make that fight a reality. because look at where we are now with Showtime, Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
Right? So your thoughts, brother, why do you say you don't think Crawford will, you think he's going to concede and say, yeah, you know what? I need a promoter. I need someone who already has a deal in place with the network that has TV dates. I need to be working a little more, I need to be working better with the other kids in the sandbox. Why do you feel that way, sir?
Well, I think with Crawford, I think this has been definitely a learning experience for him, going out into the self-promotion thing. Yeah, from what I'm hearing, and again, I don't have any sources connected to this stuff, but from what I've been hearing, it hasn't done well. The pay-per-view he just had with Avenetian, they forked out a lot of cash for him, and which is good for him. Good for him. He earned his money that way. Hey, it is what it is. But I think that there is some good fights that could be made for him with Golden Boy. They talked about after the fights this Sunday or this Saturday, Alexis Rocha was saying, hey, look, I'm ready to fight him. And look, I have no doubt about it that he'd be willing to fight at Terence Crawford. It'd be the biggest fight of Rocha's career. And, he's got a pretty nice following in Southern California. So there's a possibility that fight could be made next, or Virgil Ortiz, although I don't know. He's going the WBA route in the Stantiones fight, which is a fantastic fight.
Oh, boy, it is. Yep.
Yeah. And if they decide to pull the trigger on that, if Crawford gets past Rocha, that's a big fight in Texas, So there's some big fights to be made with him there. And I think he has to, like you said, he has to learn to play in the sandbox with other people if he's going to survive. He's running out of time. He's in his mid-30s. We know that's, he's exiting the prime of his career. So he's got to get to work now.
Guys, like we stated last year, and you're absolutely right, G Funky, and let's just hope. Now here's the bad part. And once again, I'm going to be the bearer of bad news, right? Even Bob Arum was like, you know what? I could have bought a really great house in Malibu for the amount of money that I lost with Terence Crawford, admitting that he paid Terence Crawford inflated purses way beyond his market value, right? Then he goes over to Al Heyman. Al Heyman's like, yeah, brother, you're not worth that much. Then he goes to BLK Prime. He gets paid a lot of money for an absolute dud of a pay-per-view. Notice they weren't really lining up and anxious to stage the return bout with Terence Crawford, right? Because, well, for the obvious reasons, they lost their ass. And so after that, do you really think that Eric Gomez, Bernard Hopkins, and Oscar De La Fishnets will be able to convince Terence Crawford that, brother, you're just not worth as much as you think you are?
Yeah, I think if he's going to listen, he might listen to ex-fighters about it. Maybe there's like a sense of mutual respect there, with those two guys. And Oscar, we know he was a bona fide superstar in his day. Hopkins got there at the later end of his career. So maybe he'll listen to these guys instead of, suits and ties or whatever in these for these networks. I'm hoping to God that he just says, you know what, let me just take these guys' advice. Let them work some things and make some good fights, man.
That is an excellent point, G Funky. And I love your optimism, brother. And once again, guys, let's hope that happens. Because let me just tell you, after burning all of these bridges, unless he aligns himself with more capable representation like Golden Boy Promotions, who have network dates, no major network or major promoter will want to work with him as a free agent. Guys, free agency only works if you're a ticket seller and a pay-per-view commodity.
Yep.
Dude, it doesn't work. It doesn't work otherwise. Okay? That's it. Unless you're Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather or Canelo Alvarez, being a free agent never ends well.
Yeah.
It doesn't. So here's a very good question. Jesus M says, how much does Golden Boy have to pay Crawford? Make no mistake about this, brother. It would be DAZN pulling out the checkbook and saying, yeah, we're going to pay you X amount of dollars for this matchup. But, with the kind of money that he's grown accustomed to making, how much do you really think they're going to be willing to pay for a matchup opposite Alexis Rocha?
Yeah, that's going to be tough. That's going to be real tough. I don't know how much he made. I know he was saying 10 million against Avanesian.
Well, look, I know several people who were part of that promotion. He made 5 with incentives, and obviously it didn't hit that nut. So yeah, he made 5.
Yeah. So I mean, I would imagine he's probably going to ask for around the same amount, whatever he earned there. And I mean, that fight might do a little bit better, being that it's attached to a more well-known promotional banner. You got Oscar De La Hoya, and again, you got Alexis Rocha. He's got a nice, strong Mexican fan base, that they could work with. So, I mean, yeah, he probably have to get around the same, that he made there. But we'll see, man. I hope he decides to stay there, because that guy needs to fight, man. He's getting up there in age. He can't be sitting on the shelf for too long.
Look, guys, boxing, the health of the sport is much better when its biggest and best fighters are competing and staying active. And that includes you, Terence Crawford. So, Oscar De La Hoya, if you can pull this rabbit out of your magic hat, if you can convince Terence Crawford that, you know what, you're not worth as much as you think you are, brother. Look at your last pay-per-view. It tanked, and you cost that platform millions of dollars. This is what we're willing to give you. This is what the DAZN is willing to give you. We can give you opportunities, but, brother, you've got to meet us halfway. If Oscar can do that, you know what? Sweet bitch on him, man. If he can do that, he gets my vote for promoter of the year. By far. Hands down, above anyone else. Brother, if you can do that, you can do rails with Kell Brook across America, brother. I don't care. Hey, man, party it up, brother. Woo!
Oh, boy, that was something to see, wasn't it? Oh, my gosh.
You know what? All I have to say is this. Kell Brook, you really have to rethink who you actually let in your circle, okay? You really have to rethink who you let in your circle, because that, oh, my gosh, with friends like that, who needs enemas?
Whoa.
Oh, geez, dude. Oh, my gosh. Dude, why would someone do that to Kell Brook? Why would someone do that to him? Like, it's bad enough we've got the kitchen utensil video with Oscar De La Hoya, but come on. Come on. Now we've got this shit. Yeah. So I
super
this
messy.
Geez. This is what I'm saying. Look, Oscar, if you can pull this off, brother, use as many kitchen utensils as you want. Do as many lines as you want, brother. Do this, and the entire boxing universe will be in love with you once again. That's what I'm saying. That's my final thought in the matter. And look, Terence, you need this, man. You're not. So here's my biggest concern, right? One, Terence, and this has been my biggest concern all along. He thinks that this is it. I'm fine. I'm a first ballot Hall of Famer. I've already made enough money. I don't live extravagantly. You know what? I don't abuse my body. I'm a very good family man. I'm fine. If nothing ever happens to me after my last fight, I can still ride off into the sunset very comfortably. And I'm still going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's my biggest concern, is that he really doesn't want it anymore.
Yep. That could be it. That could be it, man. And time is not on his side, man. So you got to get it going within the next couple of years because it's going to be over.
Yep, brother. Look, how many welterweights have you ever heard of have been in their prime at age 35?
Not many. And
No.
you know, to Crawford's credit, you know, from what I hear, he stays in the gym, and that's great. You know, he hasn't been in a lot of tough fights in his career, so that's why I say he could go, you know, 37, 38. But if your body is going to start to, you know, not react the same to certain things when you're pushing 40, like I am, you better get to work now, man. You got to get the ball rolling now. It's now or never. You know, if you're going to make a strong legacy for yourself at welterweight, you got to start now.
That's it. Very well said, G. And once again, Outlaw has the silver lining and everything, right? He's got the beat. Thank you for joining us, Outlaw. And he says, Crawford has nowhere else to go. At least he can get fights with GBP. Let me tell you, right? Let me tell you. If he establishes this relationship, right, with GBP and Oscar and the brass at DAZN, and what did we say in our first Fact or Fiction? Let me remind you guys, PBC will begin working with DAZN by the end of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that out of necessity.
Yeah.
Guys, this is it. He has to do this. He needs someone in his corner saying, you know what, giving him decent, sound boxing advice, right? Because he hasn't had that since he left Top Rank.
Yep.
Terence, humble yourself. Listen to the voices of reason. Work with GVP, work with DAZN, and the boxing fans will love you for it. That's it.
Certainly
That's
will.
it, brother. We're over 60 minutes. Can you actually survive one last Fact or Fiction?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Here goes, brother. Fact or Fiction? Stephen Fulton will seemingly outbox Naoya Inoue, but will lose a controversial points decision in April in Japan. Fact or Fiction?
I'm going to say fiction.
Oh,
I think
let's hope.
I think he's gonna.
Let's
I
hope
think
so.
Fulton's gonna win that fight. I do. I'm not gonna go into specifics. I'm definitely saving that because you guys know I do. Got those of you who are familiar with my channel know I do prediction shows and I like to break them down nice and thoroughly. You know, I can't wait to do that one because I think that's a great matchup. But I do favor Fulton to win that fight.
Well, brother, I'm going to say fiction as well for the opposite reason. Naoya Inoue knocks his ass out in the mid to late rounds. How do you like that?
Ooh. That's what makes that fight so good because that could very well happen.
Yep, it has to happen, brother. I tell you what, and you're absolutely right. That's what makes it so intriguing.
Mm-hmm. I love that because feeling, Joe. That's why I love this sport so much, man.
Yes,
these guys,
yes,
these channels out here that are interested in favoring and pampering their favorite fighters, they hate that feeling, the butterflies in the stomach when both guys are across the ring from each other and that bell's about to ring. Like I live for that. I love that, man.
Yes,
that's the spirit of competition right there, baby.
G Funky, look, like, tell me, like, think about that feeling, right? Think about that feeling. You just described it, right? How awesome is it on Saturday morning when your head pops off that pillow, first thing in the morning, you say, holy shit, it's fight night. Tyson is fighting Holyfield. Holy shit. You know what, dude? Your head pops off that pillow and you're going, oh my gosh, tonight is Golovkin versus Canelo 1. It's actually going to happen. There's nothing like it, guys, and that's why we're fans. That's why we're fans, guys.
Yeah, that's why we're sick fans of this sport, man. And
bloodthirsty goals, brother.
I remember it like it was yesterday, man. I was a big Felix Trinidad fan growing up. Obviously, Oscar De La Hoya was a big star. So when that fight was made,
Oh my
and there
gosh.
was months from their last fight to September of 1999 when that fight happened, and that same exact feeling you had, Joe, when I woke up that morning, I had that anxious, nervous butterflies in my stomach all day long. Oh man, I was so ready for that fight.
Nothing better than that feeling, guys, and that's why we're fans. Like, you know what? Regardless, as jaded as I've become, being around this business for the last 20 years, honestly, gosh, I'm still a fan. I'm still a fan at heart, and I still love these matchups, guys. And I know all of you guys do. You know what? This is a perfect segue and a perfect ending to this awesome show. And once again, we celebrate boxing, guys. We do. We absolutely love the sport. You think I'm going to end it there, G Funky? Absolutely not. You have time for one more fact or fiction, brother. You ready? Here it comes. Fact or fiction. Tyson Fury will get outpointed by Oleksandr Usyk in Saudi Arabia this April. Fact or fiction?
Ooh, let me do my best impression of The Who, My Generation. Fiction.
Woo! I love it. I love The Who. I love Roger Daltrey, Pete Townsend, John Entwistle, Keith Moon. Absolutely love The Who.
Yes.
And you know what, brother? Well, first of all, before I actually say anything, ¿por qué, señor? Why do you think so?
Well, I just think Fury, the theory in boxing, a good big man will always beat a good small man. And I think that that's what we have in this matchup. Both guys very skilled, very good. Fury, he's just, man, his size, his movement, his jab, his ability to rough you up on the inside. That's going to be tough for Usyk, man, to deal with. And look, I'll say this from experience, man. I've been in gyms and inspired some of my friends who were bigger than myself. And I'll tell you guys, when you have a big man laying on you, moving you around like that, man, it takes a toll on your body. Even when I was in high school and I was playing basketball, I was constantly having to guard the guy that was like 6'5", like the big guy, and boy, I tell you, by the end of those games, boy, I would be like physically beat up, so it takes a toll, man. And it takes a special fighter to beat someone like that. And look, I think Usyk is a really good fighter. I just don't think he's going to get the job done that night.
Oh boy. You know what? A lot of people would agree with you, but there are a lot of people and very, very knowledgeable people that I respect in this industry that would disagree with you. One of them, Coach Ronnie Shields. Mm-hmm. Now, once again, I'm going to remain. I'm not going to cite a prediction here. I'm not going to say anything because I'm a little biased. Very dear friend of mine, brother Sugar Hill, Javen. He's the trainer of Tyson Fury. So I admit, when it comes to this, I'm a little bit biased. Mm-hmm. But you know what? This is a great fight that has to happen, guys.
Yep.
The very first undisputed heavyweight matchup in the 4-belt era. What's not to love about this?
Yeah, gotta have it.
Guys,
man.
Regardless of how it plays out, enjoy it. Relish in it. This is why we're fans. And look, before we go, I need to address this. I don't know who you are, Joey. This is hilarious. A lot of fans think you're paid off by PBC and Espinoza. Is this true? Are you a PBC puppet? A lot of fans say you're paid off by PBC and Espinoza. Guys, come on. Look, and once again, I stated this disclaimer in the outset of the program. I have no dog in the hunt, okay? I'm completely objective when it comes to everything, right? Everything boxing. The only stipulation I have is I'm very pro-health of boxing. Everything else is a very distant second, and I have very good relationships with everyone in this business, from PBC to Top Rank to Matchroom Sport to Golden Boy Promotions. I don't have a dog in the hunt, guys. So if you don't like what I'm saying, that doesn't make me a shill, and it doesn't make anything that I'm saying any less truthful. So if you don't like what I'm saying, or think I'm a shill, or think I'm a paid PBC puppet, boy, check yourself. Right? That's all I'm going to say. And you know what, G, it's been an absolute pleasure to share the air with you this evening, brother. Do you have any parting shots for our listening audience, brother?
Yes, I do. I just want to say, make sure you guys hit that like button for our brother Big Joe here at WAWR Week Radio. Don't forget to do that. All right. That's one of the most important things you can do for your favorite YouTube channels here, is just hit that like button. It's free, takes very little effort. Just hit that like button. All right. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. But same with me. If you guys, if you like my takes or whatever, you can subscribe to me as well. G Funky Boxing here on YouTube. I do have some big things lining up, man. I haven't got confirmation on all of them yet. But this Friday afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, I will have Andy Vance's on my channel for an interview.
Former Don Chargan fighter. Yes.
Yes, sir. And he's going to be headlining a card in San Francisco at the Cal Palace, February 18th. So,
the historic Cal Palace. I love it.
Yes, it is. Historical place. I've been there many a times to watch my buddies fight in the Golden Glove tournaments here in the Northern California brackets. So, yes, historic place, great fight, and show up if you would like to come over and ask some questions. And like I said, I got a few more big things lined up. I just haven't got confirmation yet, so I'm not going to announce them yet, but big things are coming. Joe, I appreciate it, man. This has been great.
Oh, brother, you're great, man. And thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure to share the air with you, brother. And guys, please hit that like button. And once again, I've got 17 subscribers additional to just get to 1,000. Please get me there. I want to get to 1,000. God bless you guys. Guys, on behalf of the incomparable G Funky Boxing, I'm Joseph Herring. You've been listening to WAWR Week Radio. Have a great evening, everybody.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name.